in the hope that somebody will come along and say, there's money in this, let's support Meghan and her as ever brand.
It's just one of those things everybody imagines. When somebody is pregnant close to you, you wonder what the child will look like.
Imagine this a calm morning in California. The sky's barely waking up. Sunlight slowly sliding through the windows, and a warm cup of coffee waiting on the counter. Inside that $14 million Montecito mansion, Meghan Markle's phone suddenly explodes with notifications flashing nonstop like a light show call after call. Starts coming in, and things spiral quick because Tom Bower just dropped a shocking revelation that's got everyone talking. What he's revealed this time has people buzzing, ICE teams scrambling, and Meghan reportedly keeping a low profile behind closed doors. This isn't just another royal twist. It's a full-on media storm spinning out in real time. Here's the truth about Tom Bower. He's no random voice online chasing clicks. He's a seasoned journalist with years of experience taking on big names from around the world. We're talking top business figures, major public personalities, and people with serious influence. And yes, that includes the royal family.
And she targeted, there's no doubt she targeted Harry and found someone who was a childhood friend of his who could introduce them.
She says that she didn't cooperate with Omid Scobie, and she said that she didn't consult anyone when writing the letter to her father.
Before we dive into what just came out and why it's got Meghan so on edge, make sure to hit subscribe, smash that like button, and turn on notifications because this story's moving fast and you don't want to miss what's next. Bower earned his reputation by saying what others wouldn't dare whisper when he turns his focus on someone. It's never easy or comfortable. And once he starts writing about you, things tend to heat up fast. He's not the type to gloss things over or protect anyone's image. He digs deep, investigates hard, and doesn't stop until the untold details come out. His book, Revenge, Meghan, Harry, and the War Between the Windsors shook everything to the core, and the reaction was instant. Royal circles were reportedly left, stunned headlines went wild. Media outlets lit up. And everyone started talking non-stop. The claims in Tom Bower's book sent waves through every corner of the internet, and people still can't stop bringing it up. Most thought that was his peak, that Bower had already said everything there was to say.
You write in the book, Harry must be nuts. This is one of the text messages his friends were sending around to each other after Meghan's first introduction to Harry's friends in 2017 during a shooting weekend at Sandringham.
But he's pushed things even further this time. And that's saying a lot considering how explosive his last release was. Now Bower's shifting the focus to a part of Meghan's past. She might have preferred to stay quiet, her early Hollywood grind. Not the glamorous events or spotlight moments, but the hustle behind the scenes, the auditions, the long wait, the endless chase to break into a tough industry. Hollywood can be brutal. It takes more than talent, timing, connections, and the right backing all matter big time, and according to what Bower's uncovered. Meghan's climb to fame might not have been as smooth as it seemed, with new talk about certain doors opening in ways no one expected, sudden opportunities popping up with no clear explanation. That's what's got everyone in Hollywood talking. The story being whispered now sounds completely different from the one the public's been told for years. And here's where it gets wild. There's talk about the connections Meghan might have leaned on while climbing the ladder. People are starting to wonder, was her rise all about talent, or did the right links play a bigger part than anyone realized? And it doesn't stop there.
Sparked it. I thought that was just such a disgrace. I thought she behaved so badly, and Harry too. For his interview with Oprah Winfrey. So that's a major breakthrough for Samantha Markle, for Thomas Markle.
Bower's sources are now sharing stories about folks she supposedly left behind on her way up. Not literally stepping on anyone, but making some sharp cuts once success came knocking. Former friends fading away, colleagues suddenly out of the picture. It's a picture of someone laser focused on making it no matter what. According to Tom Bower, that path from struggling actress to global figure might not have been as picture-perfect as it's been told. And guess what? He didn't stop at Hollywood. Things are about to get even messier. Oh, it didn't stop there. Tom Bower went way deeper. He claims Meghan didn't just climb the ladder. She actually reshaped parts of her own story to make everything fit perfectly. Once Prince Harry entered the scene, everything changed. Meeting a real prince can flip your whole world upside down. And according to Bower, that's when Meghan started fine-tuning her past, adjusting details, polishing moments, and building the image of a modern royal icon.
You can't trust Meghan and Harry. That's the point. Even if you think you've got a deal, and that I don't believe that is possible, but if you think you have, the palace will be shocked that they will renege immediately because they have no advantage of reconciliation. They've got no advantage of ending their vendetta.
It's like watching someone craft a flawless brand. The modern princess, I know it with a story that feels perfectly written. One passage even claims she reworked entire parts of her background to match that image. Not small tweaks, but major rewrites of how her journey was told. Those kinds of claims make people rethink everything they believed about her rise. And here's where it hit Meghan, the hardest, insiders say. When she realized how much Beau had uncovered, she completely lost her cool. This wasn't just casual chatter or recycled public info. He had details she never expected anyone to dig up. This time it got personal. The details in Bauer's findings reportedly came from people who actually knew Meghan, those who were once close to her, and that's when the real panic began. She realized someone she trusted might have talked to Tom Bauer, and for someone known for controlling every inch of her public image, that's a total nightmare. Insiders say Meghan struggles when she's not the one steering the story. She wants to know what's being said, when and how it's framed. That's always been her approach. Full control, no surprises. But with Bauer's book, she had zero control and she knew it. Word is she even had her team quietly trying to figure out who might have spoken to him, which old friends or connections had flipped. And this wasn't just gossip. These were insider-level details.
Just ludicrous. It's all about her. And there's an extraordinary interview with Serena Williams where the first 11 minutes is all about her and not about this phenomenal tennis
Serena
champion.
Williams.
I mean, so that's why it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And who'd want to put herself or himself, as always, women. I mean, she does have this strange distrust, I think, of men.
Only someone from her circle could have known Bauer's revelations, hit right through her polished image, challenging every carefully crafted story about her journey and rise in the kicker. It wasn't random online talk. It came from someone with real proof, someone who'd done the digging. Imagine that feeling, spending years shaping your image, making sure every interview photo and post fits the perfect story you've built. Then suddenly someone comes in and starts pulling back the curtain, hinting that maybe things weren't quite how you said they were. That flawless image. Meghan guarded so tightly started to show cracks, and once those cracks appear, you can't unsee them. While Meghan's dealing with all this chaos, let's shift to Harry for a second. He hasn't exactly been calm either. Insiders say that ever since whispers about Bauer's new book started spreading, he's been seriously stressed, and it's easy to see why their California dream, that fresh new start they talked up, is now looking shaky with this book out. Their big projects in the US haven't gone as smoothly as planned. Remember that? Hyped at Netflix deal? Yeah, it hit rough waters. Some projects got paused, others didn't land the way people expected. And let's just say the platform wasn't thrilled.
It was happening over the long term. And it's not healthy to have these stories of rivalry, and to split the foundation was absolutely unnecessary.
Then came the end of their Spotify partnership, another major bump in their Hollywood journey. It's the kind of headline-making stumble that has everyone asking, what are they really bringing to the table? And it doesn't stop there. Meghan's big lifestyle brand push, that whole wellness wave isn't exactly catching fire. The buzz is flat, people seem confused, and the momentum just isn't there for it to take off. Here's the twist. For years, Meghan and Harry have built their image around being real, authentic, and truthful. That's been their entire message in interviews, shows, and books, living honestly and speaking their truth. But now with Bauer's new book out, that picture's starting to crack wide open. The timing couldn't be worse. The book is allegedly revealing a side of Meghan no one's seen before, and people are beginning to wonder if that
up their whole thing, went way too hard on we're victims, and they assessed the mood of their generation and America correctly in that we are lovers of victimhood. Yeah. But America did finally find a way to say, you know what, we love victims, but you two, we've just had a little too much.
authentic image was truly real or just part of a crafted story. If the public starts believing it was all staged, that's not just bad PR, that's their whole foundation shaking. With their California projects already struggling and public interest cooling off, this book couldn't have dropped at a tougher moment. This is definitely the last thing they wanted right now, just when they could least afford another controversy. It's landing right on their doorstep. Harry knows exactly how fast this can spiral. He's seen it happen before. One story breaks, then another, and suddenly every move you make is under a microscope. That's exactly where they are now. Every interview, every quote, every appearance is being picked apart in light of this new information. For someone who left royal life chasing peace and freedom, this must feel exhausting. Instead of a calm new chapter, they're back in the center of a media storm. Only this time, there's no royal team to manage the chaos. And if you think things are messy already, wait until you hear what Bowers uncovered about Meghan's family situation. This is where things turned deeply personal and honestly emotional for years.
One probably to serve and be silent. Well, that's the job of the royal family, that they're not there to campaign.
Meghan's story about her father, Thomas Markle, has stayed the same. That he broke her trust with those staged photos and interviews before her wedding, leading her to cut ties. But according to Bauer, there might be more to that story than anyone's heard before. Tom Bauer's now digging into the real story behind Meghan's falling out with her dad, and the questions he's asking don't exactly show her as the innocent one. She's often appeared to be framing as everything, and Meghan's always been great at it. When you control how people see the story, most will believe it. Even if it's not the full picture, sources say, Meghan mastered this skill early on, and Bauer's reportedly exposing how she may have shaped the family drama to protect her public image. One insider even said, Meghan understood framing everything was crucial. If that meant adjusting details or leaving things out, that's what you do. Now, this doesn't mean Thomas Markle was perfect. Far from it. He had his share of mistakes. But Bauer's suggesting the story we've all heard and might not tell the whole truth.
Who she could, so I sent off dozens and dozens of emails to her friends, and most of them didn't even reply.
He hints that the tension between Meghan and her father may not have been completely one-sided, maybe. Just maybe there were things happening on both ends that pushed them apart. This part really hits because Meghan's family fallout has been a major piece of her public story. The image of someone misunderstood, betrayed and let down by those closest to her, made people empathize with her, defend her, and see her as the one who got hurt. But what happens if that story starts to crack? If people begin thinking some of it was exaggerated or reshaped, suddenly her whole public image looks shaky, and Bauer isn't stopping at her dad. He's reportedly re-examining her entire journey from the early Hollywood hustle to her transformation into a global name. Everyone knows the story, struggling actress to duchess to international figure, but Bauer's asking the big question, how much of that was genuine and how much was carefully crafted? Yarno, building an image takes timing, planning, and precision. And Meghan, according to sources, was incredible at it. Maybe even too good. The book isn't even fully out yet, but the buzz is wild. Social media's on fire. People are rewatching old interviews, pulling up past clips, and comparing her words to what's surfacing now. And the inconsistencies are starting to pile up fast. Now, the comparisons are flooding in.
Professionally, they've gone down dramatically, and I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from.
People are spotting mismatched timelines, shifting details, and moments where Meghan's stories don't quite line up. And here's the wild twist. It's not just her critics pointing it out anymore. Even longtime supporters, the ones who used to defend her no matter what, are suddenly quiet comment sections once filled with praise are now full of doubt. People are asking, wait, how much of this was actually real? That's a serious problem, because these are the same people who once related to her story. I felt her struggles and believed every word, and now they're second-guessing everything. And across the pond, the British press is going all in headlines everywhere. Tabloids screaming about secrets revealed, and the Duchess exposed. It's like the old scandal days all over again. But this time it's heavier because there's real information being shared, not just gossip. UK outlets have been waiting for a moment like this. And now that they've got it, they're running non-stop stories, digging into every detail Bauer uncovered, and they're not holding back for a second.
Meghan's podcast has fallen off the charts. She's been criticized for the content. There are rumors that her As Ever launch wasn't as successful as she considered it. Critically, With Love Meghan was not a success.
Every little detail is being picked apart, analyzed, debated, and dissected. And behind the gates of that Montecito mansion, things are reportedly tense. Staff are walking on eggshells, unsure what could set things off. Next, the precious, thick phones ringing, nonstop crisis meetings popping up everywhere, and the PR team scrambling to calm a situation that's getting worse by the hour. They're trying to find a fix, some way to soften the blow. But when someone like Tom Bauer drops a book this detailed, there's only so much you can do. Insiders say, Meghan's told friends, she feels completely cornered, like everything's closing in. She's reportedly feeling exposed, betrayed, and more vulnerable than she has in years. And this time, it's not just random rumors, it's solid details, making people rethink everything they believed about her image. That perfectly built public persona she spent years creating is taking serious hits. Because once people start doubting one part of your story, they start doubting everything.
The abdication happened because of the American Wallace. That was a catastrophe in a way, but we overcame it, and his successor, George VI, was a terrifically successful king. And of course, the Queen was phenomenally successful, and we'll see what happens.
Now, let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on inside that Montecito mansion. When the news started spreading, things turned chaotic. Fast. Picture this early morning, Meghan's phone blowing up, nonstop calls, texts, notifications, pouring in from friends trying to warn her about what was coming. According to insiders, the moment she realized what Tom Bower had uncovered, she completely lost it. This was full-on crisis mode. Publicists and crisis managers were called instantly. Phones ringing off the hook, emergency meetings popping up everywhere. Everyone was scrambling trying to figure out the scope of what they were facing because this wasn't a story they could just brush aside. This was serious. Sources say the scene was pure chaos. And one insider described Meghan pacing the room nearly in tears, asking again and again, how could he possibly know all that? She wasn't just upset, she was stunned. What really shook her was how personal the information was. This wasn't something you could dig up online. These were details. Only people who truly knew her could have shared people. She'd once been close to people she trusted deeply, might have been the ones talking. And that realization reportedly hit Meghan hard. The thought that someone from her inner circle could have shared private details with Tom Bower was a shock. She couldn't shake.
That Meghan was warmly welcomed in Britain, that everyone in the royal family tried their very, very hardest to make her feel at home and accommodate her, but that unfortunately Meghan only wanted to be the star and made it impossible for her and the royal family to collaborate.
One insider said, it was like watching someone realize their fortress wasn't as secure as they thought. All that careful image control, and still things were leaking out. But Bower didn't stop at Hollywood or family drama. He dug deeper into territory that gets really personal, from her childhood stories to her school years and early career moves. Everything was reportedly under his microscope. And what he found is making people question how much of the polished version of Meghan matches reality sources from her Northwestern days. Say the Meghan they remember seems completely different from the public figure we see now, not just in fame, but in how she described her background and experiences. If those old classmates start speaking up and comparing notes, things could get uncomfortable fast, especially if the version of events doesn't quite line up. Those old details you thought were buried suddenly resurfacing, that's Meghan's worst nightmare. It's everything she's been trying to avoid. Losing control of her story, losing grip on her image, and realizing that no matter how tightly you manage it, the past always finds a way back. Here's where things get intense. Bower's book reportedly includes way too much personal detail to come from public sources. We're talking private stories, behind-the-scenes moments and conversations. No one outside her circle should know. That means someone talked maybe even more than one person. And that's what's got Meghan spiraling right now. Speculation is wild about who could have cooperated.
Never really intended to stay. Her guest list to her wedding showed her real ambition was to be a star in California.
Some point to former staff or Palisades who might have wanted to share their side after those royal years. Others think it could be old Hollywood connections, friends or co-workers left behind when fame hit. But the biggest buzz, the idea that someone from her own family may have spoken to Bower, that possibility alone is enough to shake anyone who's worked so hard to keep every detail under control. When it comes to family, one name keeps surfacing. Thomas Markle, Meghan's dad. Now, no one knows for sure if he actually spoke to Tom Bower, but the deep level of detail in the book about their family moments has people wondering who else could possibly know all that. Who else would remember those exact things? Apparently, Meghan's wondering the same. Insiders say she's been calling around asking questions, trying to find out if her dad was one of Bower's sources. Because if that's true, that's not just a leak, that's a heartbreak. And then there's Samantha, her half-sister. Right around the book's release, she's been online posting cryptic messages, thanking certain people for finally sharing the truth. And you don't have to be a detective to see where that's heading. Meanwhile, Harry's caught in the middle. Sources say he's torn. He wants to shield Meghan and hates seeing her under attack, but he's also drained every few months. It's another controversy, another book, another headline. He moved to California for peace. not to live inside a nonstop storm. Insiders say the atmosphere at their home has turned tenses, almost cold with stress hanging in the air that neither of them can escape. When the past keeps getting dragged back into the spotlight, it wears you down, and this time, it's taking a real toll, but here's the kicker. It's probably not over. There's already talk of more documentaries and more writers digging into Meghan's Hollywood years. It's like the floodgates have burst open, and now everyone wants to tell their version of who she really is. For someone who's spent years mastering her image, after watching it all unravel piece by piece must feel crushing that past she tried to leave behind. Isn't staying buried, it's coming back fast. Everything. Meghan built every polished story about who she is and where she came from is now under fire. And when your entire brand depends on one image, those cracks become massive. People aren't just doubting one thing anymore. They're questioning everything, every interview, every speech, all being rewatched with new eyes. And her reputation's hanging by a thread. Think about it. Meghan went from being a celebrated global figure with endless opportunities, big partnerships, and a platform most people could only dream of. But now, every title, every speech, every part of that carefully built image is being re-examined under a whole new light. And here's the twist. Meghan's toughest battle right now isn't with Tom Bauer, the media, or online critics. Her real struggle is with something she can't control, and it can't reframe and can't explain away her past, or at least the version of her past that's now coming to light. No matter how strong the PR team or how many statements go out, if your public image doesn't fully match reality, there's only so much you can patch up. And the past she's worked so hard to reshape. It's not staying quiet, it's resurfacing. Story by story, detail by detail. Maybe that's the thing about trying to control every part of your story. Eventually, the truth finds its way out. So what happens next? That's the question everyone's asking. So, can Meghan bounce back from this? Can her brand survive the storm? Or are we watching the start of the downfall of that perfectly built public image? She spent years protecting the big question. Now, is this a comeback story waiting to happen? Or the final crack that changes everything? What do you think is Meghan's image beyond repair? Or does she still have one last move left to turn it all around? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. This one's going to spark serious debate. And hey, if this breakdown made you look at things differently, make sure you subscribe, like, and share this video. Stay tuned for more shocking deep dives and updates. You won't want to miss what's coming next.